G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the changes to the jungle in version 43. There are a few changes that are happening with version 43 in regards to the jungle, most notably the removal of the amber link. So for those that do not know, the amber link is going to be removed because they've found it to be difficult to for players to fully understand, and contributed towards a stark gold economy delta, as they say, between low MMR groups and high MMR groups. An MMR group is like silver, bronze, gold, platinum, etc., etc. So there's a big stark difference between the master players and the bronze players, for example, and they feel that that is an issue. They're also replacing green buff, moving it rather to where the amber link used to be, and adding an additional white camp. So the way that this is going to work is it means that there's just going to be a passive gold drip that's going to give you even more gold than what it normally would. So they're kind of taking away the skill gap. The way that it is right now, having an amber link, having a very, very good jungler against an average jungler, means that the team with a very, very good jungler is potentially going to get a massive advantage, because not only is he keeping his amber link stocked up and protected, he's also attacking the enemy's amber link, which reduces the entire team's gold across the board. So in getting rid of this, you're leveling things across all the different MMR groups, across silver to gold to platinum, which in turn reduces the skill gaps, which is not a good thing. They've spoke recently in community corners about how they can't make the game an esport. It's up to us as a community to build the game up and make it an esport. The problem that you have is that the majority, if not all, of the games that become esports, they get there because the game is driven by the competitive community. The competitive community is more than likely the higher MMR players. So if you sort of average out the game so that it's as easy for a low tier player to create as much gold for his team as it is for a high tier player, there is no point in even putting in the effort at that higher level, which means that it's way less competitive. There's way less of a skill gap, and the higher tier players aren't really going to be building anything because there is nothing to strive for. In other games that become esports, the better that you get at the game, the more of an advantage you can get during a game, which is what makes an esport an esport. I mean, if you were going to go and play a game where, you know, someone that plays once a week, has an average skill level, can compete against higher tier players, I'm not saying that they're going to just because of this change to the amber link. Obviously there is individual skill that comes into play as well, but you're not getting a snowballing advantage of gold because they're changing the game to make it easier for people to understand. So that means that someone that's in silver is going to be providing as much gold for his team as a master jungler, simply because he's one of those junglers that just sits in the jungle all day and just doesn't gank, doesn't do anything. That's just dumb. The higher tier player that every 2 minutes clears his jungle, goes and ganks, secures kills, you know, helps teammates, watches lanes, should have a massive advantage over the guy that just sits in his jungle all day and does nothing. This change is dumb. I realize that it's hard for all the players to understand, but a very competitive game always has aspects that the lower tier players do not understand. It always has aspects that the higher tier players understand better than anyone and know how to exploit. That's what makes a competitive game. I don't understand this change. I think it's absolutely ludicrous. I think it's very, very stupid. And I feel like without being a bit too over the top, that this mentality that they're taking with dumbing everything down is sort of the beginning of the end for Paragon. I don't see how it's going to continue to grow and become more and more competitive if they continue to dumb the game down and they continue to remove aspects of the game that are not in other games. I mean, what is the point of playing Paragon if pretty much the whole MOBA works the same as another MOBA, but they don't do it as well? Because I'm sure that there is another MOBA that's kind of doing things this sort of the same way, but better. So if you're not going to be unique and have something like the Amber Link, which I know a lot of people do not understand, so I get where they're coming from. A lot of people don't understand how beneficial it can be, because they don't have good junglers. But if you've ever played in a match where your jungler always has it stocked up, always has it filling up, and is always invading the enemy jungle and deleting their Amber Link, you would know that your team ends up with a massive advantage gold-wise. It's a lot of gold that goes to waste when an enemy jungler comes into your jungle and takes all your stuff. I don't really know what else to say. I think it's a very, very dumb decision. Dumbing down a game is not a good idea, especially for a game like Paragon. MOBAs are supposed to be incredibly competitive. There's supposed to be huge skill gaps between the lower tier players and the higher tier players, and this change, although it's not going to mean that a master jungler is only just better than a silver jungler, it is lowering the skill gap regardless, which is never a good thing for a game like this. And I'm going to just keep rambling if I go on for much longer. So I'd really like to know what you guys think. So if you have any opinions, leave them in the comment section down below. I know people have been covering this already, but it's a pretty big deal. I don't know if everyone can sort of fathom what this might do for the game and its growth. I really, really think that it is going to be detrimental to the growth of this game, and I'm a little bit worried. So I apologize for the old footage in the background. I have not really been playing much Paragon. I've been getting kind of frustrated with it lately, so I've stopped and focused a bit more on Destiny 2 to sort of hope that when I do go back to Paragon, I'm not completely and utterly stressed, because sitting there playing a game that stresses you every day just makes you hate it, and I don't want that to happen. But if you enjoyed this video in any way, shape or form, or you agree with anything that I said, please smash the like button. As I said, leave me a comment, let me know what you think on the topic, and subscribe for more Paragon content. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.